Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today we're going to unpack the massive cultural success of one of the most delightfully morbid characters to ever hit our screens, the one and only Wednesday Addams.
I mean, with lines like that, delivered with that perfect deadpan stare, how could she not become an instant icon?
So let's really get into it. To understand what makes her so magnetic, we're going to deconstruct the character of Wednesday by looking at her through three completely different angles.
First up, let's explore the show's very foundation. Because this isn't just some high school drama, right? It's built on this really rich literary tradition that is absolutely essential for creating its one-of-a-kind atmosphere.
To really get the show's DNA, you have to start with the classic rules of Gothic fiction. You know, it's a genre that's obsessed with mystery, the supernatural, and these dark, imposing settings. And this isn't just a backdrop for Wednesday. It's like a carefully constructed piece of Gothic art that she is a part of.
And you can totally see these rules playing out directly in the show. Nevermore Academy, that's your classic, imposing castle. The entire plot is driven by this deep mystery and an ancient prophecy. And the mood, it's constantly being set by supernatural events and this cool literary trick called metonymy, using things like howling wind and thunderstorms to just soak everything in a feeling of dread. And get this, it's not just about what you see, but what you hear. The very words used in the dialogue are pulled straight from the classic Gothic playbook, all to keep you just a little bit on edge.
You hear a word like diabolical. It's not just a fancy way to say evil. It carries this heavy, theatrical sense of classic villainy.
Then there's specter. It immediately makes you think of ghosts and the haunting presence of the past, which, is totally central to the show's mystery.
And of course, ominous, a word used for everything from a look to the weather. By sprinkling this specific vocabulary all through the script, the creators are subtly keeping that classic horror vibe alive and keeping us locked into Wednesday's world.
Okay, so let's switch gears to our second angle here. Now that we understand the Gothic world she's living in, let's take a peek inside her complex and, let's be honest, fascinating mind.
So what is actually going on inside her head? What makes her stand out so much, even in a school that's literally packed with werewolves, vampires, and gorgons?
Well, there are a couple of theories floating around. On one hand, you could see her as a classic introvert who just recharges by being alone and loves her solo activities. But if you look a little deeper, especially at her backstory, it kind of suggests her behavior could be this defensive wall, built up from post-traumatic stress disorder, from horrible childhood bullying, like when her pet scorpion was killed.
But then you have her actions. I mean, come on, that unforgettable piranha incident. That just feels like it's pushing the boundaries of a typical trauma response into a whole other territory. In fact, it's pretty wild when you compare her behavior to the clinical traits of antisocial personality disorder. You see all these startling parallels. She shows a clear lack of remorse, a total disregard for social norms, and she even admits to manipulating people. This points to a character who absolutely understands emotions, but is more than willing to weaponize them to get exactly what she wants.
Okay, on to our third and final piece of the puzzle. This is probably the most obvious result of her Gothic world and her complex psychology. Those unforgettable, razor-sharp words.
Her acid-tongued wit is it's powered by this super sharp, well-read intelligence. She's not just being morbid for fun, she's usually making some kind of bleakly philosophical point.
Of course, a lot of it is also fueled by her unapologetic disdain for anything she thinks is too cheerful or colorful, which she expresses with some hilarious creativity. And I think a huge part of her charm, really, is how she just flips common social anxieties on their head. While everyone else has FOMO, the fear of missing out, Wednesday proudly says she has phobia.
But this is the key. This is also how she shows she cares. For Wednesday, loyalty isn't about hugs, it's about gruesome threats. And it's that strange, dark, but fiercely loyal side of her that's such a crucial part of her appeal. So let's take all three of these analytical lenses, the Gothic, the psychological, and the voice, and put them all together to see the full picture of why she just so perfectly captured everyone's attention.
See, her success isn't just one thing. It's this powerful combination that builds on itself. You've got the solid Gothic foundation creating the world, her deep psychology makes her feel real inside it, and that unforgettable voice becomes the perfect way to express it all. And here's the thing you really have to get. None of these elements would work nearly as well on their own. It's the fusion of all three that creates a character who feels both totally classic, like she stepped out of an old novel,
and at the same time, completely new and modern.
And that right there is why this all matters. In a world that so often wants us to fit in, her extreme, unshakable confidence in who she is, well, it offers a really powerful and inspiring message about owning every single thing that makes you unique.
And all this kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. Maybe what elevates a character to true iconic status isn't just their personality, but the perfect, undeniable alignment of that character with the world they live in, creating something truly unforgettable.